Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today I have a power station from LumoPal. This is the LumoPower 1000 and we're going to go ahead and open it up and see what we have. Okay, and as soon as you open it up there is a user manual, and it looks like a user manual for the LUM POWER 300, the LUM POWER 600, and the LUM POWER 1000, which is the one that we are reviewing. And let's see, and it looks like it's a pretty straightforward manual. It's not a booklet type, it's more like a pull-out sheet. It kind of talks about the whole LumoPal in general. So we'll be using this while we're doing our review. Alright, there is something that's wrapped in bubble wrap, and it is a charging brick, which is a DC output of 20 volts by 7 amps, so 140 watts. And it looks to be a 5521 plug. And on this side we have the other side of the power cord. And then let's go ahead and pull out these two pieces of styrofoam. And that is it. Okay, and here it is. Here's the top. This is different than anything I've reviewed before. Everything is right here on the front, so it's very deep, which is very different. And it's not made out of plastic. The whole thing is made out of aluminum. So it is very durable. I believe the website says that it can withstand 176 pounds. So I mean, you could like step on. You could use this as like a step ladder. But let's look at the front, shall we? So there are two inputs, and then there's a 12 volt, 6 amp. DC output. I am just super confused about what all this means. The labeling is super weird. I do like it because everything is engraved. Everything's engraved into the metal. So that's interesting. That's pretty neat. Okay, this says DC. This says PV. This says 12 volt. This says 6 amp. This says 12.6 volt in. This says 10 amp out. Okay, well let's move on to the USB. USB is 5 volt, 2.4 amp, 5 volt, 2.4 amp, 5 volt, 2.4 amp, and then there is a USB-C power delivery that's 100 watt, and it's in and out. So you can charge this device through this power delivery port. And then there are two AC outlets, one that has a grounding plug spot and then one without. And up top it says 50 or 60 hertz. And it shows a signal for a pure sine wave right here. So let's look at the side. The side shows absolutely nothing except for a LumoPal insignia, which again is like engraved in, it's like burned in. Let's see, the back. The back looks like it has a fan and a light. And then here is where you plug in your AC to charge. And then on this side, again, it just shows LumoPal. On the top, it has a handle, which feels really rugged, which I like. And then here on the top front, it shows there are 4 physical buttons. One says DC, one says USB, one says AC, and one says LED. So that's pretty self-explanatory. So if you want to turn the DC on, okay, these buttons aren't doing anything. There we go. You have to hold it down for a second. And look at that. That's a nice display. When I turned on the DC button, I had to hold it down for like a second. It shows a battery indicator, so like a state of charge, and then it has a state of charge percentage, so it says 62%. Time to empty, that shows it in hours, which it says 99.9 hours. Output power, it shows 0 watts because we don't have anything plugged into it. Currently we have the DC is on, and then it also has SIG. So I'm guessing that's the cigarette lighter adapter, which I think is awesome. I didn't know that these were really referenced as cigarette lighter adapters, so I hope that's what that means. Let's go ahead and turn on the USB. All right. And then it shows USB-A and USB-C. That shows that those are on. And then we'll press the AC. And then the AC light turns on. And I saw this flickered to 60 hertz for a second. And then it flipped back. And I noticed that the time to empty went from 99. Now it's down to 40 something, just because the AC inverter is on. And then lastly, we have the LED light. And yeah, nice bright LED light. And the output for that LED light is 5 watts. Okay, let's turn all these off. And then as soon as you turn them all off, the screen turns off. Okay. And then on the bottom, it just shows your technical information about this LumoPower 1000. First of all, there's 3 separate ways that you can charge this device. You can charge it either from the AC port, which is right here, you know, with this power brick. So you can plug it into either one of these input ports, and it starts charging, you know, up to 150 watts. You can also charge it with the USB-C power delivery, which is input and output port. And that charges and discharges up to 100 watts. And also, you can charge it and discharge it from the DC cigarette lighter port, which I've never seen before. And if you charge it with all 3 of those at the same time, because you can charge it with all 3 of them at the same time, you can charge this thing in 2.8 hours from 0 to 80%. And this has a 1,000 watt-hour battery inside. Now, I've tried multiple times to try to get this to be able to charge through this port, and I can't get it to work. So please leave it in the comments if you have a LumoPal 1000 and you are able to charge this device through this cigarette lighter port. Okay? Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and let this thing charge up. Once it gets 100%, we're gonna go ahead and do an AC capacity test. Okay, this thing is still charging up, and I've been reading this manual, and there's more things about this that I got wrong and that are kind of surprising that I've never seen in a power station before. First of all, in the back of the unit, I said that that's probably the AC input. No, it is not. It is a power, it's a parallel connection to, so if you have 2 LUM Power 1000s, you can parallel them together, and then that way you have a 2,000 watt-hour capacity battery bank for this unit. Now, that just seems weird to me because I mean, so you have 2 of these units, and you parallel them together to get double the capacity. But wouldn't that be the same as like just, I don't know, unplugging one and plugging it into the other one? I mean, I don't know. I think that's, I guess I just don't fully understand why you would do that. I understand that if you have 2 of these and you plug in one into the other, you can keep all your stuff plugged into this one and have double the capacity. I fully understand that. But why not just make a separate external battery bank instead of having a full other unit? I mean, maybe you could save, you could save the customer a couple $100 by just having an expandable battery. I guess that's what I'm getting at. Okay, and another thing is that this unit has a car start feature. So I guess it's one of those things where you can have an external battery that you would plug in your cigarette lighter into the cigarette lighter of the car and then plug this into the output over here, and then you turn on the DC and then you double click it and it says car start right here. And I guess that it pushes more amperage into the battery of your car to kind of give it a jump start. Again, that's something I've never heard of. And I don't know, it doesn't, like in the manual, it doesn't really tell you how to do it. I mean, I'm guessing that you have to use this cigarette lighter into here, and then it would go to like, the cigarette lighter of your car, like a double-ended cigarette lighter, or would you have like little clamps that you would have? So it'd be like a cigarette lighter adapter to battery clamps? Would that be how it works? Again, strangest thing I've ever seen. Again, please leave in the comments if you've ever had a power station that has a car start feature in it. All right, now that I got this LUM Power 1000 charged up to 100%, we're gonna go ahead and do an AC capacity test. I do have my watt meter right here, which will store the information, and I'm going to be powering a 200 watt personal heater. So let's go ahead and turn on the AC. It shows it at 100% right here. And let's go ahead and start the test. And also, while this test is running, I just wanted to show you that this is a pure sine wave inverter. I have my two probes going into the other AC outlet right here, and you can see a very nice pure sine wave. There's no blockiness or modification to it. Okay, well, I just got home from work and I just got down here and everything is turned off. So let's go ahead and unplug this and see what our meter reads. And what we have is 926 watt hours. So that's pretty good. Out of the 1 kilowatt battery that's in there, it is 92.6% efficient. So that is amazing. That is great. And this test took 4 hours and 35 minutes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plug this thing back in and charge it as fast as I can. And then we'll do a DC discharge test. Okay, the LumoPal is back up to 100%. So let's go ahead and turn on the DC. And connect to the computer. There we go. We have a voltage of 12.68, a discharge constant current of 5 amps, cutoff it would be 10 volts. So let's go ahead and start the test. So we'll go ahead and let's let it run. This test will probably take about 20 hours. So I will see you tomorrow evening. All right, well, I came downstairs and the DC capacity test is done, so let's go ahead and look at the results. Okay, you can tell by the line that it stayed right at 11.35 volts, which I feel like it's low, but it stayed right there the entire time, and then it started to drop a little bit, and then it dropped at the very end. So that tells me that it is a regulated DC output. And when you get a regulated DC output, your total capacity seems to be a little less than what it should be, and it does show that. The energy down here is 872.31 watt hours. So that is an 87.23 efficiency rate. So still not too bad at all. So I'm gonna go ahead and charge this thing back up to 100%. And then what we're going to do is we're going to test some of the ports to make sure that they deliver what they say they will. Okay, everyone, now that the capacity tests are done, I'm going to kind of go through, first I'm going to see how the AC outlets do under a maximum load. This has a 1000 watt-hour battery, and it has a 1200 watt inverter with a 1500 watt max. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in a 1200 watt heat gun and let it run for, I'm going to see if I could run for like 5 minutes. And while it's doing that, we're going to look at the sine wave to make sure that it stays nice and clean. So let's go ahead and do that now. And let's go ahead and put this first at 600 watts. And on the screen it does show that it's using about 500 watts. So let's go ahead and crank it all the way up to 1200 watts. And I noticed that the screen seems like it's a little slow to respond. I guess it does it like every second. But our output should be higher than that. I'm going to turn it off because I'm going to put a meter on there to see if this number and the number on the meter are the same. All right, yeah, the accuracy is good. Let's see what our voltage is. Voltage is 108.4. So that's why we're not getting the full 1200 watts out of this heat gun. But the sine wave, at 1000 watts, the sine wave is still nice and solid. You know, let's go ahead and add another couple hundred watts with this little portable heater. And now it's showing output of 1 kilowatt. And the voltage is down to 105. Okay, and it just shut off. Okay, let's try this again. This time I actually have 2 meters on here. I'm not sure why yet, but maybe it might come in handy. And we're going to go ahead and do the same test again because we didn't even, I mean, the screen showed that we didn't even get up to 1200 watts and the unit shut off. So let's go ahead and turn the AC back on. Okay, both of our meters show 111 volts. And our sine wave's good. So let's go ahead and turn on the small heater first, which is probably it's a 200 watt heater. And now I'm going to go ahead and plug in the heat gun. And that is showing 903 watts. So we have a total of, yeah, we only had a total of 1100 watts. And this thing is shutting off after 5 seconds. Let's unplug, let's turn off the small heater. Let's just run the heat gun, which is right around 900. The kilowatts showing 934. This is showing 957. Let's see if it can run this for 5 minutes. Okay, well, it's been 5 minutes. Our battery percentage is down to now 86%. It has run this heat gun with no problem for 5 minutes. But I really want to show that this is a 1200 watt inverter and it won't run 1200 watts for longer than a few seconds. Okay, so what we're going to do is I want to see what the kilowatt says with everything running. I want to make sure that we're not getting to 1200 watts. So plugging in a power bar. And then we're going to plug in the heater and the heat gun. Okay, so let me show the wattage right here. Okay, so first let's turn on the portable heater. There we go. And it boosts all the way up to 260 watts while it's heating up, but then it settles back down to about 200. But that shouldn't be a problem. Let's go ahead and put this on low. And now we're looking at 680 watts. And now let's put it on high. We're looking at 1,074 watts. And this is showing 1,100, so it's 1.1. Now it should be able to run this. Yeah, it should be able to run that. It's a 1,200 watt inverter. It should be able to run that. Okay, now I really believe that this portable power station is really meant for the outdoor environment. It's made out of aluminum. It can support like 170 pounds, which after this little test right here, I'll go ahead and just show you that I can just step on it without it having any issues. I'll probably stomp on it actually, and it won't bother it at all. And it also boasts that it can handle a drop of 1.5 meters, which is, you know, that's what, over 4 feet. That's like 4.5 feet in you know, the United States terms. So it's rugged. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to plug in a bunch of stuff all at the same time to make sure that it can handle like a simulated camping environment with absolutely no problem. So let's go ahead and just start plugging stuff in. Oh, and let's turn the USB on, let's turn the DC on, and let's turn the AC on. Okay, go ahead and turn it on. All right, so there's the fan. Let's go ahead and plug in the 2 lights. So now we have lighting. So now we have lighting for our campsite. If we have bugs, let's go ahead and plug in a bug zapper. We'll have to plug it into the AC over here. So now we have our bug zapper plugged in. Let's just say that we have you know, a bunch of grass or something like that in our tent, so we got to vacuum it out with our DC vacuum right here. And this DC vacuum, it uses like over 100 watts. So the DC port has to be able to handle that. Now what I found out that if you have it just turned on and you turn this on, nothing happens. And it automatically shuts off the DC port like it overloads, which I think is ridiculous. What you have to do is you have to press it twice and it goes into car start mode. And car start mode gives it that full power that you need. So now you can plug it in and turn it on. And then it works just fine. So with that, I find that kind of confusing. But it can be done as long as you know how to do it. And let's go ahead and we're also going to blow up our inflatable bed in our tent as well, so we can plug it in right here. And inflate this. And with all of this stuff running all at the same time, which I just did, it only uses 350 watts total. Okay, the next thing I want to show you is that it says that it can withstand 176 pounds of force. So I weigh 175 pounds, so let's just go ahead and, I mean, even stomping on it is no big deal. I mean, it's made out of aluminum, so this thing it's pretty strong. It also says that it can drop from 1.5 meters. So I'm going to drop it straight from here. I mean, like, let's just say if you're walking and someone bumps into you and you drop it like on the concrete or something like that, it should withstand that. So hopefully it does. I don't feel like ruining you know, this $900 power station, but here we go. Hopefully it stays on. Yep. No problems whatsoever. Oh, geez. All right, see that drop, it stayed on, but it did take some casualty from the plastic. It is, the whole back of it is like broken off. So I would say that it can definitely stand a stomp test, but if you drop this, if you drop this, it's gonna break. So, okay, so what do I think of the LUM POWER 1000? Well, it is a very compact 1,000 watt hour, 1,200 watt power station. It only weighs, I think, 19 pounds, and it has a nice carrying handle. It's made out of all aluminum, and you can put a bunch of weight on it. I mean, I stomped on this thing, and it didn't bother it at all. It does say that it can be dropped. I did drop it from arm length, so probably maybe 3 feet, and it handled it just fine. But then when I kind of flipped it a little bit, awkward, it broke the corner. The unit still does work. I mean, and that's probably what they're saying. They're saying that this thing will work no matter if you drop it from 1.5 meters or if you stomp on it, it will continue to work. But it's unfortunate that the plastic in the back did break. It does have a lot of ports. I do like the fact that it has 3 USB, 1 USB-C power delivery, which is it's in and out, so you can charge it through the USB. It does have a 1,200 watt pure sine wave inverter, but that I couldn't get it up to, it shut off at 1,100 watts after about 5 or 10 seconds. So, but it did run 950 watts for 5 minutes with no problem. The user manual is not really the best when it comes to some of the features in this, especially the charging and discharging of the cigarette lighter port. That really confused me, as you could probably tell. I still can't figure out how to charge this unit through this port. I don't know what you need to do that. And it didn't come with the wiring to do that. Also, it says that it has a car start feature, but why have a feature like that if you don't have the cabling to be able to pull it off? Also, I tried to run that DC vacuum, which pulls about 100 watts, and you have to have it in car start feature in order to be able to do that. You can't just plug it in and it pulls 100 watts. You have to be able to have the car start feature enabled, which is done by just pressing the DC button on there twice. I don't see why you should have to do that. You should be able to just plug it in and it should work just fine. The display, I do like the display. It's nice and easy to read, and it gives you all the information that you need. Just like with all others, they do come with an LED light that has the 4 modes. And also, while we're looking at the back, it does have this this parallel port right here. So if you have 2 of these, you can parallel them together to be able to get double the capacity. But with that, I don't see why they don't just have a separate external battery instead of having to buy another full unit. These things, they're $900, but I feel like you could get an expansion battery for maybe the half of that. And with all that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions about the LUM POWER 1000, please leave them in the comments. I'll have a link to this in my description, along with all the other items I used in this video. Thank you so much again, and have a great day.
Bye-bye.